Welcome back to the Money Goddess podcast. I am your host, Jasmine Thomas Bridges. And you guys, this episode is going to be pivotal. For those of you who are in your 20s, I'm going to save you some time. Even if you're in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, whatever. This advice that I have for you is going to quantum leap you into another reality. So when people see me current day, they always make these assumptions about what I have, what I look like, right? And I know a lot of it has to do with my placements in my astrological chart and how people perceive me in the public eye. But I wasn't always who I currently am today. And I'm talking about financially, mentally, spiritually, emotionally. The maturity and wisdom that I have developed over the years is astronomical. And it's because of these things I'm about to share with you right now. So, if you are new to our podcast, listen, I want you to be sure to follow me on social media at I am JL Thomas, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. Let's make sure we're connected here on YouTube, The Money Goddess 333. And you can listen in to any of the podcast episodes on Apple or Spotify. I want you all to be locked in because I'm always doing amazing content where I'm sharing my heart, my truth. I'm not gatekeeping information. I'm always giving, always going above and beyond. This is valuable what I share. This is in a lot of people's courses. They're not giving you that next level until you pay. I'm just being transparent. Now, I do have my own courses. You can check them out. She'sworthy.org is where you can see what all I have available. I am also on Etsy, the Money Honey Hive, so be sure to check that out as well. Let's dig in to some advice that I wish I knew when I was in my 20s. Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Let's get it going. So the first thing I wish I would have known in my 20s, and I'm looking at my notes over here, so anytime you see me kind of staring off, it's because of that. I like to be organized and prompt and give you guys the real goods to help you elevate your life. Hello, hello. Number one, I want you to start a business. If you are currently in your 20s or you are beyond that, that is something that I highly recommend you doing. I started my business when I was 24 years old, and my first business, and I still have it, it deals with education. And it's where I would do tutoring, I would do homeschooling, all of these things. And it still, again, exists today. And that was the best thing I could have done in my 20s. The best. Why? I didn't have the responsibilities that I have now. I didn't have as many responsibilities as I currently have, and you want to take advantage of that time. You are youthful. You can just go. You can build. There is an opportunity for if you need to stay up late. Not that I am, a proponent of always being, on the go. You do need to rest. You need to recover. Sure, but you have the opportunity to get that flexibility and do what you need to do for you. Now, the next thing that I want to talk about in what I recommend in starting your business is making sure it aligns with your skill set. It's very easy for people to create businesses that are maybe outside of what they have gone to school for, or if they are on a specific job, they want to do something totally opposite. Listen, I would recommend using the skill set you already have and making it work for you. So let's say that you are someone who maybe you have a specific trade like in welding, right? Well, what if you did your business was with side projects that you get to do, right? And that might not be your business forever. But when you're first starting off in your 20s, you want to make it easy as possible, because when you are using a skill set you have and there are people that already know you and know your work, they're more likely to ask you to do that for them on the side. That's what happened to me. So whenever I was starting my business, I really did actually, my business started because of someone else. I didn't go out trying to start my business. Literally, I had someone come up to me because I had been tutoring. Really, I've been tutoring since I was 14. And someone came up to me and said, "Hey, would you mind tutoring this little, this little first grade girl?" And I think she's a junior in high school this year. A lot of my students that I first started off with, I mean, some of them are already in college. It's just crazy to think about that. But that's how it started. And then I was like, okay, I'm good at this. Let me keep going. And I started building from there. And it just went on and on and on and on. And I winded up building a multiple six-figure business just from what I was already doing. So when you align that skill set and clientele, you guys, you can create that extra income that you probably really need, especially in this economy and what we have going on. Even before any of this was happening, I have always believed that you should have multiple streams of income. While some people may have, very high paying jobs that, do well for them, you still want to diversify. Now, of course, you can consider passive ways of doing this. That's fine, especially if you have time restraints, but everyone needs to think about different ways to make money. Now, within your business, and the reason why I am propelling and allowing you to think how much this can benefit you is because having a business helps you with your taxes. Now, of course, you should check with your certified professional accountant to get this information. But for me personally, I had certain write-offs when I was starting my business, so that helped save a lot on taxes. And there are so many different things that you can do as a tax haven for you. So keep that in mind, especially if you are, young and you don't want to pay a ton of taxes all the time. Having your business can help offset some of the expenses that you have. The next thing with starting a business is leaving a legacy. You guys, I cannot stress to you how important it is for you to leave a legacy and your mark on this world. And it doesn't have to be something big like what, when I think about people like Mark Zuckerberg or Jeff Bezos, right? Those are big name people that we'll always talk about, right? Your legacy does not have to be that. Your legacy can simply be, you know what? I started a business and I helped one person and I changed their life. That is more than enough. Again, that is going to take you further than anything else when you have that type of mentality. As I mentioned, you are young. You can go and you can help people and serve them in your business. So that is something I recommend in your 20s. Now, the next thing that I want to share with you to do to propel your 20s forward is to chase purpose instead of money. Now, when people hear this, they think purpose has to be this one big thing you're supposed to do your entire life. When in reality, your purpose can change over time. So, when I first started off in my 20s, my purpose was about building my business. It was about building myself, investing, doing all of those things. While I'm still working through that, now in my 30s, I don't have to work as hard, and my purpose is my household. My home is my purpose. Now, I still have a career, I still have a business, but my home is my number one priority, and everyone is very clear about that. Everything goes around them. And of course, my home includes me too that I am continuing to work on myself. So I want you to think about this. Money follows your heart, not your head. So when you find yourself always focused on getting the money, getting the money, getting the money, I need to stack, I need to save, I need to do this, right? Sometimes it can take you out of vibrational alignment versus when you think about money in your heart. Now, you have a heart chakra. This chakra or energy field near your heart is a place where it is able to magnetize wealth to you. So, what you love, what you feel called to, it always brings money into you. And that's what a lot of people don't realize, because sometimes, especially in our society, it's in our 20s, we're pushed to do things that just make money. But then we realize, okay, why are we still, not successful? Why aren't we doing as well as we should be? A lot of that is because you were in your head trying to do things logically. And money, success, those things don't really work in a logical, linear way. You want to lead with your heart, and you'll also last longer in your business or your career if you feel like your reason that you're doing something, like, it makes you want to live. It makes you want to wake up every day. You don't want to spend your 20s going into a job or business that you don't like. Now, that doesn't mean you won't have hard times and you won't, think about, oh man, I don't want to do this anymore. This isn't fun, right? We have those moments, but I'm talking about what you feel the most pulled and aligned to. Now, also in that same space of chasing your purpose instead of money, you want to learn your midheaven. So if you haven't already found that out, I highly recommend you go and learn about your midheaven and see what you are all about. And your midheaven is basically your 10th house of career. It's what people see and how you are projected into the world. So that way you can know how you best show up and some of the best ways to be able to create the wealth that you desire. I also want you to think about knowing that your purpose is something that is usually very natural. It's a gift, and you'll be able to do it a lot more easily if it aligns to that. And also think about the scripture. Your gift will make room for you. When I hear that scripture, I'm thinking in my mind, for some reason, I see myself in a room full of people sharing whatever my gift is. And then the more that I share that gift, I see more and more people piling up into the room. And the room gets bigger and the room gets bigger, right? Because I'm constantly sharing my gift, right? And that for me fills up my heart and it makes me feel alive. Like even today, before I got on this live, was in a mood. And I said, you know what? I'm going to go live because I love talking to my beautiful community and I love sharing advice. I love giving tips. I love helping them in any way that I can to better their lives. And do you know, I feel 100 times better than if I wouldn't have come on here. So that's what happens when you chase purpose instead of money. And for my podcast, for anything that I do online, I get paid for it. It wasn't always like that. It didn't start off that way. But as I mentioned, it will make room for you. Okay, so the next thing I want to share with you, and this might be our last little piece because we will be taking a quick little break in between. In your 20s, I want you to build your credit. Now, this I talk about deep in my Position to Prosper masterclass. So if you want to check that out, you can go to shesworthy.org/prosper. And Or you can go to Etsy, again, Money Honey Hive, and you can check out all of my courses. So let's be clear. I know a lot of people that don't make a certain amount of income, but they have everything. And most of that is because they have good credit. Credit is king. The dollar is no longer king. It stopped being king in 1970, either 74 or 71, when Richard Nixon took the dollar off of the gold standard. And because of that, you had to have credit. If you look at all these big, wealthy, rich people, most of them are not spending their own money to fuel their businesses and what they are doing. They are literally using credit, which is using other people's money, whether it's the banks, or if you are borrowing from someone else, however that looks. So let's talk about what you can do to actually build your credit while you're in your 20s. Start off with a secured credit card that you can pay off every single month. So when I was 19, I believe, yes, I was 19, I got a $300 secured credit card. Now, I have shared with you all my story. I didn't grow up with money. My mom or dad did not teach me about credit. My dad had passed away long before, I was old enough to even do that. But I didn't learn that from my family. And I went off to college. I had to pay for everything myself. I did get scholarships, so I was blessed in that way. But I know I needed to buy a car as soon as I turned 21 because my car was raggedy. I was always having to buy a new, whether it was a new engine. It was just so many different things that were happening with that little car. So I got my $300 secured credit card, and baby, I paid that off every month. And that was helpful. So if you can find a secured credit card, that can at least get you started. Paying it off every month, being diligent, being consistent. And now at, how many years later? I don't even know, can't count it. Many years later, I'm always keeping an 800 plus credit score, which is incredible considering the fact that I didn't start off with, a history or anything like that. I had to build from scratch. And so you want to really think through, what is your game plan? If you want to learn more, my Position to Prosper Masterclass is available. But this is going to help you to get the house or the car of your dreams, and that's just at the basic level. Think about if you want to start your business. I funded the majority of my business with my full-time job as a teacher. But once I transitioned out of that and we needed to expand to have new locations, equipment, things of that nature, I did take out a loan. There are also lines of credit that you can get as well. There are many options that you can have when you have credit. You want to get to a space to where you have options to not just use your own money. Now, I am not suggesting that you go into debt and get things that you cannot afford. You want to be smart about this, talk to a financial advisor. These are just things that helped me and I am sharing them. Now, I want to, and I only have like a couple more minutes to stay in for this piece, but I want to share with you all my next thing, which is to get close to God. Now, I know in your 20s, it's kind of like, listen, I'm not really thinking about spirituality. Maybe you grew up in a very strict home where you had to, practice a certain faith and your parents were very strict on you, whatever. I highly suggest if you get close to God, it will make your life a lot easier. Here's why. The world is going to fail you in your 20s. You're going to have spiritual awakenings. You're going to find out the truth and how difficult this life really is. Now, guys, I'm a very positive person. I'm going to give you optimism, but I'm also real. And this world will make you want to go there. It's not going to always give you that sunshine and rainbows, but if you have God to lean on, you will be able to make it through. You will be able to sustain whatever it is you are building in your 20s. If I didn't have God to lean on and trust in, I would not be here today. And I mean that. I truly mean that. You have to learn how to trust in the higher power, especially in your 20s when your life isn't going where you want it. Even if you're older, it doesn't matter, right? When your life is not going exactly as you plan, because it won't, not all the time, you will start to doubt. You won't have faith or think that certain things are going to come into your reality. You will feel like, man, am I a failure? Am I messing up because this is not going according to plan? And I'm here to tell you, no, you are not a failure. It's just not your time yet. God has a divine plan for you. Jeremiah 29:11, that was the verse I studied all the time in my 20s. I was 20 or 21 when I started looking at that scripture. And Jeremiah 29:11, I know God has plans for me, right? He's not trying to harm me. He wants to prosper me. And I always focused on that. Even when I went through hardships financially, when I could barely freaking, put food on the table for myself. All of these things that I was going through, I knew it would get better. But that's what I had to lean on, because if I would have just focused on the external and what was happening, I would not be where I am today. I would say I have crazy radical faith. Like in my 20s, I was probably borderline delusional type of faith, because I should not believe the good things that I believe. My life didn't match anywhere near where I am now. But I know that was God helping me to get that faith. And I want you to think about that. You're going to need something to inspire you. And I also feel like for me, it helped with a morality. Who do I want to be? How do I want to help people? It helps you find the beauty in things even when nothing is going right. So in my next segment, for those of you who are tuning in live, I will be coming back on. If you're listening on the radio, listen, we're going to talk about a couple more things to focus on in your 20s. I'm going to be talking about your health in vivid details. I'm also going to chime in on learning about your relationships, understanding how children dynamics work. And I'm also going to help you to build your self-esteem and confidence in healing those childhood wounds. You guys, I am giving you everything you need to know. This is going to save you so much time and effort and energy, because life is not always so simple. And sometimes you just need, like a coach like me to share with you that insight and that wisdom that I have learned over the years. So make sure you stay tuned in for the second part, and we will